Hey everyone, this is Captain Anime 92, um, coming back with another anime review. I just want to say personally, thank you to all of you who have continued to support my channel, liked and subscribed. Thank you for all of this. Wouldn't have been possible without you. Um, I'm actually very excited. I'm hoping to continue bringing more anime content. Uh, I'm going to try and do it at least bi-weekly. I haven't really had so much of a set schedule. I still plan on posting around 11 or 12. And instead of doing, which I thought at first, animes that I have seen, more or less is going to cover animes I haven't seen so I can continue bringing you fresh, brand new content. And I have done some video game streams recently. I do plan on doing more in the future, but right now I'm going to put that on hold, and I think I'm just going to continue to just keep doing anime reviews. So look forward to that. And for today's anime review, I want to talk about a little show that I personally like, known as ReZero. The second season, actually, I think premiered sometime within the end of last year, I believe, and part two for season two just came out about roughly a week ago, and I haven't seen the second part quite yet. I caught the first 13 episodes, and that's what we're going to cover today as the first 13 episodes. Now, for those who have yet to see the show, spoilers, because like I said, this is covering season two. So, any of you have or have not seen season one, I highly recommend it. You can continue watching this video. We're going to be discussing and mentioning about the odds and ends about this season. So yeah, let's get started. So the beginning of the season kind of more or less picks up from the first season. We've already have this world established, this overarching story, this world that we found our character Subaru in, our main protagonist, and you've seen him struggle, going through many different kinds of obstacles, and through the torment, the anguish he went through, he seemed to develop in this fairly likable, well-rounded, good character who knows about his faults and his flaws and come to terms with them. And now in this one, we're getting a little more of the backstory of the world. Because in season one, they mentioned about a witch that resembled the likeness of Subaru's main love interest, Amelia, who is said to be one of the many candidates to rule the kingdom, along with 3, 4 other participants. And this witch is the same witch that brought Subaru to this world. Of course, in season one, we don't know why. We don't know why she brought him there, or what her purpose was for bringing him there, and so on. You do know that she's the one bestowed upon this power, Subaru, which is known as what he calls return by death, which means that every time he dies, he goes back to a certain set point in the show until he can overcome these hurdles, these obstacles that he has to face in order to continue to progress, kind of like a checkpoint, actually. And we learn that there are these factions, these cults that build themselves around the idea of these witches. And there's more than one, there's several, each of them representing each sin. And the first season covered the sin of sloth, which was the leader, Betelgeuse, was very much obsessed with what known as the Witch of Envy, the same witch that brought Subaru there, who seems to have this attachment to him, which once again we don't know why. And they read these books known as the Gospel, which is the written word of why they do what they do and that they follow loyally to the end. And you, in this season, you get to meet each of the individual witches. You get to meet all of them. Because in this season, after big climactic battle and the battle between Betelgeuse and his faction, Roswell, Lord of the Manor, who is where when we first met him, he is who houses or keeps Amelia, who's trying to help her reach her goal of achieving becoming nominated to rule the kingdom, along with the two twins, Rem and Ram, the former demon girls, and the mysterious Beatrice, who is a keeper of this library. And in the show, you learn more about Roswell, about Beatrice, about her role, why she's there, and it goes more in detail, quite a bit actually. And I like this show a lot because personally, it talks a lot about Subaru's backstory, which we didn't really get to see a lot in season 1. Because in this season, we're introduced to a new maid, which I can't quite remember her name top of my head, but she gives this gem to Subaru and Amelia and tells them that Roswell and Ram have went to go to a camp, a village of these beast-like people, which kind of is known as they call it, the graveyard, because this place that they're going to is the witch of Greed's territory, and you find out that she is the one who built this village. And there's a veil that's protecting the village, and those of mixed blood cannot leave. Hence the reason why they gave the jewel to Amelia and Subaru, because Amelia, being half-elf, she was affected by the barrier's effects, while Subaru is not. Because the idea is, because in order to save Roswell and Ram to escape, she has to complete this trial set by the Witch of Greed herself in order to break down the barrier and get acknowledgement from its protector, who happens to be blood related to the same maid who gave them the crystal. All this, though, being said by Roswell, because in the first season you learn he seems like he's got his own ulterior motives. We don't know whether we can or can't trust him. Surely, it seems like he's got his own kind of goals set and like how he wants to go about things, and we find out that he doesn't quite know what Subaru's going through. He has an idea, and that he explains to him earlier on the season when he confronts them is that, well, previous things he's done and things he has continued to do, that he'll, no matter how many times he needs to do what he needs to do for Subaru and him to accomplish his goal, he will go through hell with him. I mean, like, no matter what, it won't just benefit Roswell, but he says is like to continually help Subaru reach his ends, no matter what he goes through, what he faces, no matter the consequences of the odds. And you find out Amelia, who was chosen to do the trial, can't succeed through the trial, so Subaru does it for her. And the reason being why she can't is because this trial specifically, it forces you to overcome your past. A lot about what you did, what you've done, And it forces you to kind of confront and face your fears, your innermost emotions. And that's why I like this season personally, because we go back to a glimpse of the real world of Subaru and his family, and why he's the way he is, and why he works so hard to be over the top and better and be this person he's not, because in reality he feels that he's weak, he's like selfish, not very strong, not very smart. And we get to know more about him, his character, about his family, and about why he became secluded and doesn't do anything with his life, and why he ended up becoming a shut-in. And it forces him to come in touch with himself and his demons, and to kind of reconcile with him and his family, to move on, to finally let go. And the thing is, it's just he feels alone. He feels alone and by beside himself, and it shows that he's there no matter what he's done, what he said. His family is there to protect him, to help him, to guide him, that they love him no matter what. Even if, he stopped going to school, stopped believing in himself, and that there's people that love him, that are there to guide him, like Amelia, who give him a purpose, a reason to live, and Rim, who at the beginning of this season, very early on, she gets confronted by one of the many factions of the witches, or